Hey everyone, this is Austin Schur here with We Write About Music, and today I am speaking with Bomethius. He has just released a fantastic new track called Barren Field, and I am seriously super excited to talk to him all about it. I want to thank you so much for coming on today. How are you?
I'm well. Thanks so much for having me, man.
Dude, you're very welcome. Good music deserves to be talked about, and this is seriously a great song, as I mentioned. I want to hop right into it. Why not? Why waste time?
Yeah.
As I mentioned before we started recording, I really love this song. It's so great. And it like not that it took me by surprise, but I'd never heard your music before and it just like perfectly aligned. So I want to know, what is this one about? Like what directly inspired its creation?
Yeah. So a couple of different things. So my wife and I got married in the midst of the pandemic and
Nice.
like
That's
May
tough.
May 2020,
Okay.
And we at the time we were living in Dallas and she had just finished her degree in she studied piano and so we're hanging out there and we got our first apartment together. And just across the street from where we moved in, there was this big vacant lot. And there was a construction crew that started coming in. And it's one of those things where like 6 a.m. you hear like the
Oh yeah.
and stuff like that.
Exactly
And
what you want to wake up
yeah,
to.
just for
Yeah.
months.
Right.
And I was sitting there, I would kind of sit at our little dining room table, and it was our windows like looked right into this lot. And
Yeah.
one day I was just like, it's just a big barren field, and frequently when they're constructing something that the amount of work that they spend, or at least the amount of time, I don't know how much work it is, but the amount of
Right.
time they spend just making a mess of the earth before
Yes.
they've actually done anything
Right.
that is like discernibly going to be a structure of some
Sorry,
kind.
I'm under the impression they're just taking as long as possible to get
They're,
paid the most amount of money, and I hope
yeah,
I'm not wrong. I hope I'm
yeah.
right, and that there aren't any
These,
like construction workers watching this.
yeah,
But
they're like they're at it again, making as much noise as they can to move
yeah,
move sand around.
yeah, just
It's
impress
like,
impress the boss because the more noise
yeah.
means you're working. Yeah,
Look
I
at how
get
much
that.
dirt we moved to over here because it
Thank
used to
you.
be over there the night
Exactly.
before.
So we did a
But look at
lot
that.
today. This was a
Yeah.
hard 8 hours.
If
Yep,
you could just pay me the full amount
that's
now,
hilarious.
go on
Right.
ahead and get the rest done. Yeah. So there was a lot of that and just kind of staring into the void of this barren field for a while.
Yeah.
And
Oh, I
then
see. Okay.
yeah, and then so that was the reality. And then it kind of coincided with some um I guess I don't know how best to describe it other than I suppose some pretty serious deconstruction around some of the ways that I had been brought up or indoctrinated as a child
Yeah.
theologically, and kind of pulling those things apart and kind of grappling with them for what they were and how they made me feel, which isn't at all strange or alien to a lot of my discography, but I
Sure.
think it's probably dealt with more directly here. And still, it's kind of poet. It's a soliloquy and
Of
it's
course.
kind of poetic and all that. But yeah, that's a lot of it. This idea
Nice.
that I am a barren field, that sort of thing.
Nice. I love that. Honestly, there's no better music than music that was actually inspired by something rather than
Yeah,
just pulling ideas from thin air like so many out there.
yeah.
Well, putting the message aside for just a second, though, I want to know, like, do you operate by yourself in terms of production and like the back end stuff, or do you have a team helping out or a group of friends? Like, how does it work on that end?
Yeah. So basically everything that you hear on that single and a lot of the stuff you'll hear on the album that the single is from, um, I do myself.
Nice.
And I recorded most of it on this computer in my apartment in Chicago.
That's so impressive.
I
Seriously.
mostly I'm just cheap and I'm a control freak. It's is the problem. I don't know
Well,
if it's
that's
impressive.
okay
Yeah,
because no, because making music it's so expensive.
it's a
I don't
very
think people
expensive process.
understand that.
Yeah.
So it's like, dude, if you, I mean, we obviously have the technology. to do it yourself.
Right.
You can't be
Well,
hiring full-on orchestras to play
yeah.
12 seconds in a song. So
Well, it's like, yeah, it's like I do session work for people and I couldn't afford to pay me to do session work for myself, like
right, yeah.
I
Isn't
and I
that funny?
and the I'm not going to take all the credit for this because a big part of my process has become cultivating a group of really strong musicians and friends that I just trust.
Sure.
Just even just based on our own relationship, but also
Yeah.
musically, I just trust everyone that performs on my records. And so, Michael Minkoff, he plays for a band called Physic. He lives out in like Sugar Hill, Georgia. He
Hmm.
did most of the drums on the record, and he did the drums on this song. So those were recorded in their own, his studio that he has out there, Clubman Studios. And so I didn't really have to be involved with that beyond like mixing everything and
Sure.
kind of putting stuff together on that end. And then, like my bass player, Jeff Tollis, he's here in Dallas. And Ricky Rochelle plays. Oh, wait, does Ricky play on it? He doesn't play on there. But, people are from all
Yeah,
over, and you just kind of grab them when you can. And,
totally. You've
and you just,
surrounded yourself with a
yeah,
very impactful team of talented people. Like
yeah,
that's what I like to hear.
yeah,
As much as you're an independent artist trying to do your own thing, like it's really difficult to do your own thing. You know what I mean? And so
yeah,
you have to have that sort of tight knit community. I love
right.
that.
Yeah.
Another thing that I really enjoyed about this song is that it does a fantastic job of pulling from so many styles and genres where it's sort of no seriously where it sort of like blurs the lines.
Yeah.
Like it starts out and I'm like, oh, this is like an indie folk song kind of, and I also got like some Wilco vibes from it
Yeah.
too, which I was just like, yeah, all right, but then it takes these twists and these turns and it does its own thing, and I'm like, this is great.
Thank you,
So
man.
roundabout way of asking you, like, what's your elevator pitch for this song? What genre, what label would you put on it for someone that hadn't listened before?
Yeah. So I think all of my music is kind of idiosyncratic. Like I want all of it to basically do what you're describing Barren Field did for you.
Good.
Where I'm melding a lot of different things. And you can probably pick out the individual references and influences and things like that, but
Absolutely.
they're being synthesized in a way that's meaningful and perhaps even something different.
Totally.
Um, for this, I completely forgot what your question was. I'm so
Oh,
sorry.
no, it's okay. What's your elevator pitch for the
Oh,
song?
elevator
What
pitch. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So my elevator pitch is the same for
Okay, man.
everything, which is
Okay.
I
That's
call it
good.
mischievous Baroque folk pop is what I call this.
Yes, love that. It should be a united front for
Yeah.
whenever you ask that question. Like, I love that. It
Yeah.
really, no, it really does do a great job of like blurring the lines. And, for someone that may not be, for a lot of people, it's like it's either rock or it's pop or
Right.
it's rap or whatever. But it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, like, no, with the future of production and this and that, like everything is kind of a little bit of everything nowadays. People,
Yeah.
there's no restraints.
Yeah. And I was talking to a big part of this next record, and honestly, a big part of this song is my friend Sam Amati. He plays electric guitar for a lot of
Mhm.
the record, and he plays like the solo on this song, and he does some of the lead playing. I do some of the lead playing too, but the really great lead playing is Sam. And we're
Nice.
talking about the really great rock bands, Led Zeppelin and the like,
Sure.
where you go and you listen to their stuff, and it's like, wow, it's not necessarily true all the time, but there are albums where it's like every single one of these songs are the exact same genre. And
Yeah.
I cannot imagine like signing my soul into a band and a contract where it's like, okay, well now we expect you to make
Yes.
this music in this way 12 times per record. I
For the
can't
rest of
do
your
it.
life.
I'm just not gonna do it.
No,
And Led Zeppelin's not a good example. I have no idea what I would
it's not
say.
a terrible example.
Yeah.
It's not. But
Okay.
I get what you're saying, and I think like the
Yeah.
general person would understand what you're saying.
Right.
I think it also goes back to like you are the person spending the money, putting the time and energy and focus, and like it's not even just you in a studio or in your room doing it. It lives in your head all the time. You're always thinking about it.
Right.
at the end of the day, if you're not putting out something that you would put on in the car yourself to listen to, then what is the point of
What are you
any of
doing?
this? What is
Right.
the point
Yeah.
of any of this?
I was actually thinking about that a lot recently. Go on our we had a very long drive from Chicago to Dallas. So we, at a certain point we turned on Christmas music just to help you stay awake, you know?
Sure. Yeah, just to
And
annoy yourself, just to
yeah.
say
And
things.
I was sitting there listening to it, and my wife was like, "What are you thinking about?" And I was like, "Well, I was just thinking a lot of this music, I mean, it's like these are historic um these are pieces of history that are being shaped by really famous singer-songwriters and artists from a different generation that
Yeah,
most of us don't even really think about anymore. And maybe Frank Sinatra is like
true.
the most famous of them all that maybe
Yeah,
we still think about because he's in films and stuff like that. But we don't really
totally.
listen to their stuff properly. We only
No,
listen to them at holiday
right.
time. And but
It's
it's like
kind of
a
wild.
cultural thing where it's like, oh, I love that recording of this. And I was like, I
Yeah,
wonder for how many of these guys where you'd go and ask them like,
so fun.
was it
Yeah,
really meaningful to you when you went into the studio and recorded Hark the Hare, yeah, whatever the fuck.
cash grab,
Yeah, and
cash
they're like,
grab a
no,
thousand
dude,
times over.
I didn't even want to be there, you know?
Right. Totally. No, no, I love that, dude. I've never thought about it like that, but it's so true. It's like, do you think Mariah Carey wants to hear All I Want for Christmas Is You like fucking 10,000 times? No, because when December 1st hits, that
Hmm.
massive Spotify check comes in, she's the only person getting paid.
Yeah.
Like, no, she does not care
Oh.
at all. She never
Her
has
her
to
like
worry.
artistic
Yeah,
sensibilities were not
no,
vulnerably put on the line with
no. Damn. Wow, you've kind of blown my mind a little bit, but that's true though.
Yeah,
Uh,
and like
yeah,
so I was just thinking about the fact that yeah, sure, maybe I'm not making like a whole bunch of money, you know, putting my stuff out. Maybe it is costing me a lot actually in some
right.
ways to put it together. But it's like
Totally.
when I do put it out, I stand behind every single syllable of it. And at the end
Yeah,
of my life, it will every single piece of it will be meaningful in some regard. Like I just
agreed.
yeah, I
So
just
what
really
I'm
do.
hearing right now is we could fully expect the Bomethius Christmas album dropping in the next week.
Yeah, I'll eat my words in 10 years, right?
You know what? At this point, I think everyone should sell out. You know, if you're a musician, you have anything to do with music, that's not where the money is these days. No. Yeah. All
Yeah.
right, let's get back on track.
Right.
This actually is like in the realm. So I want to know, do you have plans to experiment with your music in the future? Like, obviously, I love the sound and I love what you're doing with it, but do you see yourself exploring new avenues in the future?
Yeah, I'm looking at going heavier for the next album.
Yes, love
Yeah.
that.
I've been listening to a lot of Pumpkins and Sabbath and
Sick.
Judas Priest and things like this. And I don't think I'll quite go as heavy as they do. But I think there's a certain part of me, like growing up, I listened to a lot of uh, American Idiot era Green Day
Yeah,
and
same.
Muse
Yeah,
and
same.
there's a small repressed part of me, you know, because I'm a classical musician. I have a degree in violin performance and I went to school for it
Sure.
and did all the thing, you know. There's a repressed part of me. It's like, no, I really want to do the hard rock thing, you know, where it's just fun and it
It's a
doesn't matter,
blast
you
and
know.
it doesn't get old. And
No,
there's so many people that are just like, well, you know, I don't know. I don't like hard rock. Like, I don't like Metallica. It's like,
no,
shut up.
man.
Like, open
Yeah.
your mind a little bit. No, it's so much fun.
Yeah.
It's so much fun.
And for me it's always been the sort of thing where like you know I'll turn on the amplifier and I'll switch the gain up a little bit
Yeah,
and I'll
yeah.
I'll I'll write some things and play them for myself, but then there's like a certain like, oh, well, we mustn't let anybody else hear this because you know it would disturb the peace or something, and that's just like
Totally.
internally it's just
No,
kind
no,
of
no.
encoded into my brain.
Right.
And so there's a certain part of me now, and a lot of this album is about like really forming yourself out of the proverbial ashes in a certain sense and being
Yeah.
like, no, I think I'm going to form and create a life that I want to see for myself and any generation that comes after me. And
Yep.
I'm just going to reject all these traditions that you know I either allow for or directly harbor and support abuse and any other manner of just insanity that was just totally fine for generations.
Totally.
Totally done with it. And so
Right.
there, I think it feels like the next step is to go louder and angrier.
You know what, man? hey, if you think that it fits where you're at in your life and that's the way to communicate whatever message you're trying to put out there, the
Yeah,
only person that's stopping you is you. Like,
yeah,
that's what it's all about. I
yeah.
love that, man.
But yeah, there
Wow.
is a lot of I got, and I think I also got really tired of it's like there's only so many sad songs you can write with an acoustic guitar.
Oh my god, they've all been done. There's only
They've
so
all
many
been
chord
done.
progressions that
Right. And
exist
it's
at
like
this point.
there are certain songs, and there are some on this next album. There's one in particular that I think is really good. But
Yeah,
it's like at a certain you can't do an album of that anymore. I can't do it anymore. Maybe
sure.
I mean, yeah, just not there. I was once there because I
Don't waste your
literally couldn't
time.
do anything else, you know.
Yeah,
But now it's like, no, we're not going back that way, you know.
yeah, man.
And I want to keep,
Live your life.
yeah, do more electronic stuff and do more just create bigger sounds. I
Yeah,
think I on this album I got particularly interested in I had a composition friend once say, "Do not waste the listener's time." That's what he said to me. And at the time I didn't really think about it. I was just like, "Hey, fuck
that's
you. This is my song," you know?
yeah, that's no, no, that's kind of a douchey thing to say in a way. That's
Maybe,
like,
but I got the idea though. And I think what he was really saying was you have if you're going to do this, if you're going to make art, you have a commitment to do the most that you can with what you're doing.
sure,
And I think you owe it to your listener to do that.
yeah,
And what he was saying about the piece that I was showing him at the time was I wasn't doing it. I was being lazy. And he was right, actually. When I go back and listen, I'm like, oh, that is lazy, actually. Um,
okay,
and at the time, I thought maybe I was being profound or something. It was like, no, you're just being lazy.
yeah.
So,
That's a tough situation to be in because it's like at one point, like, or at all points, you need to have someone who's going to be honest with you
oh yeah,
and not just be like, "Yep, this is great.
right,
See you later." But at the
yeah.
other, it's like, I don't know. It's tough to make decisions by yourself.
There is, and there's that fine line of less is more and all these other
Right.
things, but you have to find what that is.
I
And at a
agree.
certain point, you're also competing with the marketplace. And the marketplace right now, production is insane. I mean,
Yep.
there's so much stuff that goes on. So even if you're in a certain genre, people will still be like, nah, the production's really lacking. And it's like, but do you know this genre? They're like, we don't
People don't
care.
e- people say the word production to sound smart, and they have no clue on earth what production. No, really though, and you know it's true.
Yeah.
Like people on the internet are just like, "Well, everything was good, but the production." It's like you don't know anything. All right,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
could rant about that for days
I
because it's
always
so
just
damn
I
annoying.
prefer to use the word arrangement
Sure.
because I think it's more accurate to what they're actually describing in some sense.
Yeah.
Because I feel like production also refers to like the sound quality and sonically how it's being
Sure.
communicated. So maybe
Yeah,
that
but
they
like
really don't.
you're an artist and like the term.
Yeah,
People just like,
yeah.
well, my favorite YouTube reviewer said that the production was off. And I'm like, shut the hell up. So, okay. So you're actually one of my last, interviews of the year. So this is a very fitting question at this point. I want to know, what does the next year look like for you? Obviously, I assume there's going to be new music, but like what are some personal or even just lofty musical goals that you'd like to hit?
Yeah. So yeah, it is the end of the year, and I was kind of cautioned against. I was actually point blank told not to release the album when I was releasing it, which is on the 31st of December. So I'm releasing it. And there, I
Yeah,
understand
I could
why.
talk about that for hours. I'm just gonna
Yeah,
say one thing about it.
yeah,
Yeah, it's like, oh yeah, don't release it at the end of the year. It's gonna get caught in the mix. But like good
yeah,
music lives on. And also I think truly like the pandemic screwed up music, like the music industry so much as a whole,
yeah,
where it's just like there are no rules anymore. Things have changed. Do what you gotta do. So
yeah. For
that's all
me,
I'll say.
I have a personal vendetta with myself where I have to release an album a year until I die. And this
That's
past year
amazing.
was really, really hard for me, but it was like, you know what? If I don't release it this year, it's like they win.
Yeah,
I can't I
they
can't do
can't let them
that.
win.
So literally the last day it comes
Absolutely not.
out.
Can't be doing that.
Yeah, I'm not gonna do it. So yeah, I think I mean when it comes to goals, so I'm a Sofar artist. I perform with Sofar Sounds,
Nice.
which has been a pretty remarkable, phenomenal thing to be a part of. And So I suppose maybe a goal would be to like get a live video with them of one of the
Nice.
shows, because they do that frequently for a lot of their artists. And I've been playing. I think I'm approaching 30 shows with them now.
Oh wow.
So we've done a lot, and they've all done really, really well, So I'm excited to keep going with that. I'm starting to kind of form more connections and have a greater group of people that I collaborate with in a live setting
Mhm.
in Chicago, which is really nice. And I'm kind of hoping that some of that will translate to the recording process as well,
Yeah.
because I would really like to start making something of a band out of it. We right now we kind of refer to it as like it's a project, and it has a revolving group of members that come
Yeah.
in and out of the studio kind of thing.
Sure.
And then in live settings it's just different. But I would really like to put together maybe a group of people that's a little more constant, now that we're kind of getting settled in Chicago. And I'd like to maybe record, like maybe even be able to go into a studio somewhere and record live, because I'm also getting to know more engineers and
Totally.
producers and things like that. And I mean, there's still part of me that cringes and is like, do not come near to my things,
Well, yeah, I
But
mean, I think that's always tough, like no
yeah,
matter what. But yeah, sometimes you got to open it up just a little bit. Obviously, you're still the conductor, you're making final decisions, but it's just like, yeah, I don't know. You figure it out. But it sounds
yeah,
like you have a lot going on, or there's a lot
yeah.
coming up at least. So
Yeah, I
that's
think I
a
think there
major
is.
plus.
I think there is. Oh, and we might also go to Europe. So I'm hoping to play with So Far Overseas, which would be a
Nice.
pretty cool, like, be able to tour globally sort of thing.
Yeah, that's like the dream,
Yeah.
obviously. Very cool.
Yeah.
I've got one more question for you, and I basically want to know, like, for the person that is going to discover you from this, what is an opening message that you'd like to say to them before they listen to your music for the first time?
Oh wow, that's a lot. I guess I would say um that I am trying to lead an examined life. Um, because I think it's the only means by which we grow as people and learn to love ourselves and others better. And if you are interested in sharing in that journey with me, then please come along.
I think that's a great answer. Truly heartfelt.
Thanks.
Um, well, Jonathan, no, Jonathan, seriously, I want to thank you so much for taking the time. I know we're like right in the middle of holiday season, but
Yeah, no, thank you for
that's
taking the
good.
time. Yeah.
Hey, I'm not doing anything. I'm just
All
here.
right.
Uh, let me plug your music for you one more time here.
Yeah,
If
please.
you guys missed it the first time around, the song is called Barren Field. But also there's a record coming out 10 days from now. So it's like, what are you waiting for? Listen to that too.
Yeah.
We will have links in the articles that people can listen and share and follow along and generally just stay up to date with whatever is happening in your life.
All right.
But hey, this has been great. Seriously.
Right
Thank you
on.
so much for your time.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. I hope to speak soon. And if we don't, have a great new year and a great album rollout.
Appreciate it, man.
All right. Talk to you later.
See you.
Bye bye.